Oakland A's UK. Oakland A's UK. The Oakland A's UK. The Oakland A's UK. Hello and welcome to Oakland A's UK. I'm Matt Smith, here for your Sunday review on Sunday the 4th of August. It's been a slightly odd week for the A's this week, with an off day on the Monday and then an off day on the Friday. So the A's have only played 4 games so far this week, but it's gone pretty well for the A's. They've won 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee in a really good series at the Coliseum against the Brew Crew, and then winning yesterday on Saturday against the Cardinals 8-3. Mike Fiers given us another good start. However, the main news of the week, of course, has been off the field and the trade deadline on Wednesday. Now, on that evening, I jumped onto Twitter and did a quick Periscope to give my initial reactions to all of the news going on a trade deadline. So here are the highlights in terms of the A's news, both in terms of people coming into the team and also a few injuries too. Strangely enough, it seems ridiculous, but Homer Bailey actually is earning $23 million this year. But the A's are only on the hook for £233,000 of that. Tanner Roark is on for, I think, $10 million this year. But the A's, Susan Slusser reported that the Reds are chipping in about $2.1 million of his remaining money. So I think the A's are on the hook for just over $1 million there. And Diekman, I think it's probably about $700,000 that the A's are having to pay out on that. So we're looking at the A's having brought in 3 good, experienced Major League pitchers for probably about $2.5 million. So when you think about the budget restraints that the front office, David Forst, Billy Beane were under, they've done really well, I would say. If the ownership were saying, you've got about $3 million to play with, then to bring in 3 major league arms like that without having to give up some of your best prospects is a really good bit of business by the A's. So if you compare that then to what the other wildcard teams have done, obviously Boston didn't do anything. The Rays brought in Jesus Aguilar, who in theory is a decent power bat, right-handed bat, but hasn't hit for much power this year, and also brought in a couple of reliever arms too. And then you look at Cleveland and Minnesota. So on paper, you would say Cleveland have done the most in finally bringing in the 2 outfield bats that they needed. They've kind of been looking at right from the off-season in the form of Yasiel Puig and Franmil Reyes. But they had to let Trevor Bauer go as part of the deal. So there's a trade-off there. And I guess it comes back to how the rest of the starting pitchers are going to do. Corey Kluber coming back from injury. How is he going to kind of come back from the injury, not only be able to actually pitch, but how good is he going to be, considering he's had so much time off. And then you look at the Twins, they didn't do a lot either. They brought in Sam Dyson, who I always think of as a Ranger, but they brought him in from the Giants, and also Sergio Romo. So, you know what, when I stack what the A's have done up against the other wildcard contenders, I think we've definitely at least matched anything anyone else has done, if not actually out of the group. Again, depending on how you kind of weigh up what Cleveland have done, I'd say we've probably done the best out of the wildcard team. So let's not worry about the Astros right now. The Astros are going to win the West. They're away and done with it. The A's are going for the wildcard and have put themselves into a good position to win it. And the other thing, again, I mentioned we haven't given up any of our best prospects in doing this. And in the previous Periscope and in my most recent YouTube video on Oakland A UK YouTube, I did talk about a 40-man roster and the fact that we're full up. And you've got Sean Manaea, who pitched, I think it was 6 innings, if not last night, the night before in Vegas, and is looking good. Should be back with the team soon. He's coming back. You've got Jarrell Cotton pitching in AAA. He's coming back from injury. So those 2 guys are coming. You've then, if you're looking ahead to next year, because the 3 guys we brought in are just rentals for the rest of the season, you've got Manaea coming back, you've got Cotton coming back, you'll have Frankie Montas coming back from his suspension, you've then got AJ Park and Jesus Luzardo coming. So there's 5 guys, if not 6 if I can't count. Mike Fiers has been really good as a dependable starter this year, so he'll be here next year too. You've got Chris Bassett, who's pitched really well this season. Yes, had his bumps in the road, but generally he's been a good back of the rotation starter. So you've got a really good crop of pitchers there, good options, and I think next season looks really promising for us. Again, it's going to be tricky with the Astros, but I suspect they went and got Greinke because they are pretty certain that Gerrit Cole is going to leave as a free agent. So that's kind of like for like, and they're still going to be very good. But they're not going to be quite the juggernaut I think some people think they will be. And the A's will be in a good position if they can look at what they're going to do with a second base, which we've had no production from at all, and then just look at maybe another bat too, probably another reliever as well. And you know what? The A's will look pretty good for next season. And there's a lot of promise in this team. And the front office has done, I think, what they thought they would need to do, which is they haven't mortgaged away next year, but they have made a few good trades to at least give us a chance this year for the wild card. And that's, I think, although it may be not quite what all A's fans wanted, it's probably as good as we could have expected. So I'm happy enough with how the trade deadline has gone, and I'm optimistic about the rest of the season. The next 2 months of the regular season, the A's are in it, and I do think the A's are going to be in it all the way. Whether they can definitely get the wild card, whether they can definitely win the wild card, well, that's another matter. But the A's are going to be in the hunt, and that's good news for all of us. So that's good news. Unfortunately, there's also been some bad news this week too, hasn't there? The main thing, Ramon Laureano is out for probably a month. Had an issue all season by the sounds of it. He injured himself in Tokyo in the Japan series back in March with his leg, some sort of lower leg stress, not quite a fracture I don't think, but an issue there which has been painful for him, particularly in the last 3 weeks, and it's just a case of he's got to rest it for a month or so. And when you think how he impacts the team, both with his amazing defence in centre field, but also how he's been batting this year as well, he's really come on this year. And so it is a blow to lose a guy like that. I know Mark Canna can fill in a bit in centre field, and we've brought up Nick Martini to be an extra outfield bat to cover for Laureano, so that's good for Martini. But yeah, he's a big miss for a month or so. And we've also have to deal with Josh Phegley going on a 10-day injured list, thumb injury, and it doesn't look like it's too bad, so he's probably just going to be there for the minimum. There's been a bit more roster news since that point. Stephen Piscotty, as expected, has been activated from the injured list and came back and played against his former team, the Cardinals, on Saturday. Franklin Barreto being optioned back down to AAA. And also the A's made a waiver claim in bringing in Dustin Garneau. Now, Garneau used to play for the A's, had been playing for the Angels, but was released by them, so the A's have brought him in to be the backup catcher. Bo Taylor going back down to AAA, and so it's going to be Chris Herman and Dustin Garneau doing the catching at the moment, whilst Josh Phegley is on the injured list. Sunday's game is the finale of a very short series against the Cardinals. It's a 1:07 start in Oakland, so 9:07 PM start here in the UK. Coverage available on MLB TV. The pitching matchup for the Cardinals is going to be Adam Wainwright. Now the A's faced him back at the end of June. He pitched pretty well against us, giving up just 2 earned runs. He's had a slightly inconsistent season, some good starts, some starts where he's been hit around quite a bit, but this is a guy who's been in the majors a long time, had a really good major league career, and his curveball that he's known for is still as effective as it's ever been. For the A's, it's going to be Tanner Roark making his A's debut. He didn't pitch all that well during July, it has to be said. He made 5 starts, giving up a 7.30 ERA, but it's a new start for him here in Oakland with a real playoff contender, and hopefully he'll make a really good first impression with the team today. As I say, coverage starts at 9:07 UK time. We'll be tweeting along at Oakland A UK as always. Follow us along there, and also Oakland A UK on Facebook and Instagram, and of course like, share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm Matt Smith, thanks a lot for watching. Yeah, we're the Oakland